Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is that you are listening, folks. Thank you very, very much for listening. Day today is Halloween. It's Halloween, 31st of October, year of our Lord 2025. Devil's Night, taping this on Devil's Night. I only learned this today, that in Michigan, we're like the only people that call it Devil's Night. The night before Halloween, you call it Devil's Night. On the East Coast, it's like, it's not Mischief Madness. Like Mischief Night or something? You guys call it something weird on the East Coast. Nobody calls it anything. Nobody calls it anything except for people in Michigan, I guess, and then again people on the East Coast. Devil's Night, taping this on Devil's Night. Halloween. Anything scary gonna happen in this episode? I don't know. I'm gonna try not to jump scare you with anything. No, I don't know. It's not that I don't observe the holiday, but I didn't even realize that it was about to be Halloween, despite the fact that we did sort of trick or treating with our son on Sunday. I'm just not really conscious of the a happy Halloween. Hey, let's do some quick little whip around fun facts. Early season in the NBA, we're like a week into it. Had a good slate of games. 2 weeks into it? It's unknowable. How long have we been? The NBA's been back for seemingly months. And there's been some, plenty good storylines, and we've covered a handful of them on this show. I got 2 little fun facts for you here up at the top. We've talked so far about Victor Wembanyama. It's been hard not to. And just how it's like, oh my God, okay, so we spend years and years seemingly talking about the next face of the league and, who's it going to be, this new generation of guys, who's it going to be? And we force people into these conversations when they play well for like a week or they have a good series in the playoffs. Oh, it's got to be this guy. It's got to be Anthony Edwards. It has to be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. It has to be Jason Tatum. And then Victor Wembanyama, in a very decisive fashion, makes it clear who is the next face of the league. And through the first 120 games of his career, we got some scary numbers. Now, how do I read this to you? Through his first 120 games, he's at 2,738 points. Through the same amount of games, LeBron was at 2,680. So Wemby's got about like 50, 60 points on him through his first 120 games. Rebounds, Wembanyama, 1,301. Karl Malone, 1,091. So about 200 and change rebounds over Karl Malone. It stinks that it stinks that Karl Malone is a pedophile, doesn't do it justice. What do you want to call that guy? I mean, it's and good for, I think, NBA fans for just denouncing this guy anytime he's on camera or his name is mentioned, or God forbid he shows up to officiate or judge during a dunk contest during All-Star Weekend. God forbid something like that happens. Everybody just fuck this guy, reject tomato. Like, good for NBA fans. It just does stink, honestly, that he is the way that he is or was the way that he was, because he's like one of those big time, are you really going to separate the art from the artist guys? People don't really care to do that. Like, at least with John Stockton, people are more willing to be like, damn, like that's a lot of assists. Because the thing that he is sort of off the rails and unhinged, sort of off the rails and unhinged about is just like medical science, vaccines and shit. He just didn't want to get the jab. He didn't want to get the COVID vax. That was kind of it. I don't know. Maybe there's other stuff, but just like there's a place for that guy in society. I don't know. Getting a 13-year-old pregnant is kind of hard to fit into society. I don't know. I guess you could be the president of the United States. You know what I mean? I guess there's not that there's not a place for it in society. I don't know. Let's get back. It's supposed to be about Victor Wembanyama and uplifting him. He's got more rebounds than Karl Malone did through his first 120 games. Also has, through his first 120, 448 blocks. Hakeem Olajuwon had 337. So about 111 more blocks than Hakeem through his first 120 games. And finally, he's hit 274 threes. Steph Curry, through the same amount of games, had hit 242. That one's a little bit weird. It seems a little, I don't want to say cherry picky, but if you know the history of Steph through his first few years in the league, I don't know how many, well, I guess I was going to say 120 games. Well, I don't know if he really played that much because he had all the ankle problems so early on in his career. Well, that's just 120 games played, period. So it doesn't matter if he wasn't playing. This is just the first 120 games that he played, no matter how long it took him to play those 120 games. I guess it's not that cherry picky. That's fucking astonishing. Those numbers that I just read to you. Insanity. Bananas. I don't really know what else there is to say about Victor Wembanyama that we haven't already talked about in the last few episodes, and like we're kind of just gonna let this happen. We just gotta kind of watch this happen, but it's really fun, and it's very jarring. It's very jarring. The other little fun fact that I had for you guys is about Con Knippel, hotshot rookie for the Charlotte Hornets, Duke star. This year, through his first 4 games in the NBA, in his career, has hit the most amount of, how do I say this? He's hit the most amount of threes of any player in NBA history through his first 4 games, ever. And what I think is interesting about that is the top 3, so he's hit 15 through his first 4 games. That's an NBA record. What's interesting is the top 3 are all from within the last 4 years. You have Con Knippel at the top, 15 made threes in his first 4 career games. Keegan Murray in the 2022-2023 season, rookie year, hit 13, and then tied for second is Chris Duarte in the 21-22 season, also with 13. I remember that with Chris Duarte. I was really pissed off about it. I did not like him coming out of Oregon. Or did I I don't remember. Was I mad about that? I might have been really excited. I guess I just sort of remember that it happened. I don't remember anything about how I was feeling about it, apparently. Good for Con Knippel. I don't know. He's looked pretty good. It's looked pretty good. It's just too bad with a guy like him. I just think that he's sort of destined to never play on a team that matters. I'm talking about LaMelo specifically. Never. I don't know. I just think sort of the way that he is. I just sort of think the way that he is kind of stinks. I don't know. But it's, again, the records there are all from within the last 4 years. 15 made threes. And I don't know. I just wonder, what does that look like in 10 years? Okay, 15 made threes divided by 4. If we just bump it to 1, that's 16. It's easily divisible. It's like 4 threes a game. You're telling me, I don't know. I guess to get to 20 would be pretty fucking nuts. If there's a guy who within the next, at any point, doesn't matter when, but just sort of the nature of the sport, and it's sort of, it's evolution after evolution. I don't really know how you evolve from hitting 15 threes in, your first 4 games. Cause you would have to level up to such a degree that we're talking dudes hitting, if you're hitting 23, I'm focusing on this so much, it doesn't really matter. But, is a guy going to hit 5 threes in 4 games? And then we're going to, I don't know, what is that? It just doesn't, it doesn't feel like we're that far off from it, is what I'm saying. Is, I don't know, if 10 years ago we were like, hey, a guy that you would normally just make in 2K who's 7'5" and 230 pounds and he's a 5 tools guy, he can literally do everything. Let's just 99 maxed out everything. Let's just put him in the game and fuck around and see what happens. We were like, oh, that guy can't exist, obviously. And then as this sort of this unicorn era of NBA basketball that was ushered in by the likes of Kristaps Porzingis. And Joel Embiid, honestly, is kind of in there too. These massive, towering guys who can just kind of do everything. Suddenly, that kind of started to become commonplace, and just eventually it led to a guy like Victor Wembanyama. And so, I don't know. It's going to be so cool when the NBA inevitably does the 4-point shot. It's crazy to me that they haven't done that yet. It's crazy that they haven't done that yet. The moneymaker that Adam Silver is, it's crazy to me that there isn't already. They have a damn sponsored shot in the 3-point contest. Sponsored by Starry, I think, or is it the Starry Ball? I think the shot, I think, is sponsored by Mountain Dew. And every time they take that little further out 3 that's worth extra points, I think it's worth 3 points, in the 3-point contest, the broadcaster has to say, sponsored by Mountain Dew, every single time. So, in an NBA game, I think it's crazy that it's sponsored by Emirates, sponsored by Skims, sponsored by, name a brand. Anybody will throw money at this because the verbal exposure and visible exposure that you get from it is crazy. It's crazy. The broadcasters would have to say it every single time someone takes a 4-point shot. The reason I brought this up in the first place is just to say, I don't know, when they add the 4-point shot, the funniest guys are going to hold records for the first few years. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think of who's I don't know if that's even true, because as long as they do it within the next few years, Steph is going to be the hoarding all of those shots, and Anthony Edwards, and I don't know. Like, it's just, I'm trying to think of like who's a funny guy who's going to take, like Kuzma does funny stuff, but he's not going to take a bunch of 4-point shots. Like, who's a funny guy who's just going to take so many 4-pointers? I don't think De'Aaron Fox would really do it. There's a chucker that I'm just not thinking of. Like Terry Rozier, I think would have, if he wasn't about to be kicked out of the NBA forever and maybe go to jail. I think he would. Well, LaMelo. We talked about LaMelo. There we go. It's going to be him. Like, Anthony Edwards is definitely going to shoot a lot of them, but, I mean, I was going to say at least he's going to make them. Well, LaMelo's going to make a shit ton of them too, but I don't know. What's the dig here at LaMelo? At least Anthony Edwards is going to be doing them in April, like the end of April. You know, maybe that. LaMelo just hammering 4-pointers the whole game. Hammering 4-pointers the whole game. And then, like, the first guy to hit a 4-point shot to win a game, that shit is going to rock. It's going to rock. But it's also, I think, I just wonder if it's going to melt our brains for like a month, maybe, when we see an NBA team is down by 4. And motherfuckers, and wait till a guy hits a 5-point play. You know what I mean? Oh my God. An and 1 4-pointer? Oh my God. Imagine there will be a day where a team is down by 4 points. And our chimp brains now are so underdeveloped, and we cannot even conceive that you could still win a game if you're down by 4. You could get an and 1 from 3, right? Well, maybe you're just down by 3. I don't fucking know. Create the scenario in your head. This is a choose your own adventure game, because we could create a million scenarios here, right? But a guy hits a 4-point shot, maybe gets the and 1, 5-point play, and they win the game. Holy smokes. Ruckus. It's a circus. Imagine that in March Madness. Oh, I imagine you figure whenever they start to soft launch this 4-point play, or 4-point shot, I should say specifically, they'll either start kind of testing the waters in the G League, which they've done before, using it as like an experimental league, and they recently did this in the Summer League, using the Summer League to sort of just try out new rules. Like the one that they did in the Summer League this year was, if you take a heave at the end of a quarter, and you miss, it no longer counts negatively against your field goal percentage. And if you make it, I think it just goes against like the team's field, like the overall shots that have been taken, but you're not affected by it if you miss it. If you make it, then it counts for like towards your numbers. But if you miss it, it literally doesn't matter. This was a massive rule change, and it saved people like me and you at home, the viewers, from the worst thing that has ever happened in the NBA, which is the field goal percentage savings club. These are guys who will just eat the ball at the end of a quarter, and they'll like a tenth of a second after the buzzer goes, they'll fake a shot attempt. Like oh fuck, I just didn't get it off in time. It's loser shit. It's hack shit. It has always pissed me off. Shoot the fucking rock. Shoot the rock. You're getting paid $40 million a year. And if you lose, 3 points off of your percentage, well, 3 points would be a lot. Then fuck me, I guess, for just wanting to see cool shit happen. Well, now it's not a problem anymore. And they tested it out in the Summer League, and it went well. So they were like, let's just roll this over. 4-point shot, let's do it. Spent a lot of time talking about the 4-point shot here, so let's do something else. Early season NBA, first few weeks, I'm listening to a lot of media, folks. Believe it or not, I'm consuming a lot of content about the sport, and all that means is I'm listening to Bill Simmons and Zach Lowe. Ryan Russillo is still in his transition from The Ringer to Barstool. He hasn't had any really that much content come out. He's had some. Anyways, doesn't matter. I've been listening to a lot of stuff, listening to a lot of people. And my favorite part about the beginning of the year was when all these TV personalities, content creators, YouTubers, and the like, their early season, like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? What are you talking about? Everybody's got them. Everybody's got one of those. Those what the hell are you talking about kind of takes early on in the season, where we become so, because it's the emotions of a basketball game. They're just the ups and downs of it, right? And if shit goes wrong or it just perfectly right, by the end of it, your opinions are night and day, completely different, right? I mean, by the well, I was gonna say one sequence can change your entire opinion. Yeah, no fucking shit. That's sports, bro. But I think I want one. I would like to plant my flag in a "what are you talking about" take. All right, I have one. We have a winner. Watching this Sixers team, and I'm seeing what everybody else is seeing and enjoying what everybody else is enjoying, which is VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey. VJ Edgecombe, a guy that I don't remember if we talked that much about him before the draft, but on draft night, I was a massive fan of the pick, loved the pick. I think all the quote-unquote smart basketball people out there spoke very highly of the pick, but nobody, I don't think, expected that he was just going to be an NBA guy immediately. It's important also in that, especially if you're a Sixers fan, to not get tricked. We're maybe a decade removed from Michael Carter-Williams almost having a quadruple-double in his NBA debut, so it's important not to get tricked. I would say this is, in all likelihood, not Michael Carter-Williams 2.0. However, you're watching these two explosive and very incisive guards in this backcourt for Philadelphia between Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey. And then, like, I don't know, you're watching Kelly Oubre, like, kind of have, like, a step to him, and, like, he's, like, making some shots. And Quentin Grimes, the guy that everybody in the NBA wants, but your favorite team doesn't, apparently. Been playing really well as the game they just played the other night. He went to the line, like, he didn't go to the line 6 times, but he took, like, 6 attempts from the line. So, okay, so they're kind of firing on all cylinders. Matter of fact, day that this episode releases on Halloween, I believe the Sixers are going to be playing the Celtics in the NBA Cup. And that's a big litmus test, I think, for both of those teams. You look at a Celtics team, look, if by the time you're listening to this, the game's already happened, it doesn't matter. Look at the final score, and what I'm about to say, you'll just have an answer to it. It's like we're looking at a Celtics team that early in the season, we talked about this in the last episode, oh my God, they are just going to do the Jaylen Brown gets to shoot the ball 25 times a game and let's just fucking see what happens. And it's weird that Derek White hadn't really gotten as many shots because it's like he's really fucking good. Like where does he end up this year if they do something weird? Is it Derek White that they do something with? Maybe Houston just sends like a Godfather offer. I don't know. Maybe that's what it ends up being. Well, the Celtics just played a game the other night and Jaylen Brown... They beat the Cavs. The Jaylen Brown had 20 shots, and Derek White also had 20 shots. Okay, all right. Okay, Jaylen Brown had 30. Also, good for him. This is supposed to be about the Sixers, by the way, but I just want to say this. Good for Jaylen Brown for... I don't know. I don't know if it's good for him. Look, he owned the whole hair thing, I guess. He did a Twitch stream where he was like, I'm going to shave my head. And I was like, oh, that's funny. Okay, that's funny. And he, like, made some jokes about calling LeBron and, like, oh, we got to go to Turkey, get, like, a hair transplant, shit like that. It's like, well, first of all, bro, you have the money that you could do that shit in America. You don't have to go to Turkey. But funny joke. I hear you. But he was just, like, surrounded by his boys. Bring it back to the Sixers. Like, the co-host that Paul George has on his podcast, like, they're literally just his boys who, like, live in his fucking back house. It's just, I don't know. It's cool, I guess, but I'm not really interested in it. Jaylen Brown just like had a bunch of like yes men, like for real, like Batman henchmen. Not really like, no, not Batman henchmen. They were just his boys. That's really all that they were. But they were fucking just sucked. You just watched Jaylen Brown get his haircut. So annoying. Anyways, I'm looking at a Sixers team that has a lot going right early in the season, with like 2 pretty big elephants in the room. 2 pretty massive contracts for guys who aren't getting younger and aren't getting less injured. Certainly not getting less injured. By the end of Paul George's current contract, of which I believe he has, including this season, 3 more years, where he's owed like $200 fucking million. He'll be like 37, I think, maybe 38, 37 or 38 by the time that contract's done. Probably not going to get out of that one without eating all of that money and biting the bullet, and it's gonna taste really bad if you have to do that. I don't think you're really going to get anything of substantial value for him, unless he, I don't know. I'm not going to rule out Paul George. He always comes back and is always Paul George again for a little while until he invariably gets injured again. Joel Embiid, on the other hand, a guy who also has 3 more years left on his deal. Matter of fact, I might have that one offhand, so I can actually read it to you. So this year, Joel Embiid slated to make $58 million. Next season is $62, and the following season is $67. I actually can pull this up right here, too. This is going to be really quick. So this year, Paul George, last year he was making 49. This year it's 51. Next year, 54. And then in 27-28, he has a player option worth $56.5 million. I wonder if he will opt into that as a 37-year-old. And then, 38 years old, he'll be unrestricted. So I'm just looking at these guys, and whether it's the beginning of the NBA season, like exactly where we are right now, or when it's like, I don't know, April, May, and most teams in the NBA, their season is over, and it's only like 4 to 8 teams left, and everybody else is kind of just talking about the summer and like free agency plans. And you always hear people say this. It's always like, there's going to be a guy's going to become available that you don't even realize is going to be available and that we're not talking about right now. A lot of the time, the guy that we spend the most time talking about getting traded isn't even like the craziest one. It's the one that you're not expecting, right? And so those are the 2 times of the year that it happens the most, is what we just mentioned at sort of the tail end of the year going into the offseason, and then exactly where we are right now. There will be somebody in the middle of the season that we're like, oh shit, I didn't realize this guy was available, because these are super crucial, first few weeks to the season, where all it takes is one injury or like one bad stretch, and your season you can completely punt on the whole thing, right? And so I don't know. Where I'm going with this, the actual damn take, which I just haven't said, is like, because I'm just really trying to walk on eggshells here, because I don't really know if I mean it this way. So I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say it because I've been beating around the bush too long. I think they should trade Embiid. I think they should just do it, because it's not going to be Paul George. And I just wonder, like, what does he get you in return? Like, there are years of control on his deal, so that's the leverage that you have at your advantage. I don't know, like, are we at a point in Joel Embiid's career where if I'm like, it's not going to, you can't just do a pick and a player, you can't do that because the salaries have to, like, hypothetically, I'm not saying this. I'm just saying as a for instance, the Pistons can't just do Jalen Duren and a pick and dust their hands and say, hey, I'm Sam Hinkie, Daryl Morey, are you interested in this? We can't do that. I mean, we'd have to throw in Tobias, and you might have to throw in like Isaiah Stewart in there too. And that honestly, by the way, is because that's kind of like, this is stemming from a place where I want the Pistons to go after somebody. And I'm just kind of like, I don't know, like, does it really make sense to invent a scenario where a guy that isn't available right now ends up becoming available, that guy being Joel Embiid, just for me to be like, okay, well, but Philly would want a long-term stable option at the 5 in exchange, you would imagine, right? Unless they could get that supplementarily elsewhere. If the Pistons are calling about Joel Embiid, the conversation is probably going to both start and end with Jalen Duren. And that is kind of look, you got to give up good players to get them in return. Joel Embiid has won an MVP, and Jalen Duren has never won an MVP. I would wager that he never will. Is there a world where I think Jalen Duren could play 82 games? Yes. As a matter of fact, I do. I do not know if that's true for Joel Embiid. I think that the Pistons, capital-wise, also not good trade partners for Philadelphia in this case. Those picks aren't going to be valuable. Because if you're Detroit and you're trying to trade for Embiid, or like any good player for that matter, the picks are not valuable because they only own their own. So if they're trying to trade for a good player, that means these picks, I mean, you can lottery protect them, you can do whatever you want, but like, they're going to be at the back end of the draft anyways. And so because there's not a lot of value in them, that's how you end up having to give up 5 of them. That's how the Clippers got fucked out of like 8 of them trying to trade for Paul George in the first place. Orlando just gave up 3 to get Desmond Bane. Like, if the picks are not, you know what I mean? I don't need to say it again. I'm going to. If the picks aren't valuable, that's when you have to give up more. And so at that point, we're talking about Jalen Duren filler, so like Tobias and stuff. And what? 2 like lottery protected? Then there's no value in that. There's not a lot of juice. Well, there's the value in that, honestly, at that point, if you're Philadelphia. I can talk myself into this. Hold on. At that point, if you're Philadelphia, and the main reason that we're doing this trade is for Jalen Duren, and then the picks would just be, hey, we can attach them to get something else, or we can actually spend those picks and we can use them in the draft, and we can get some complementary players. Oh, well, yeah, okay. Jalen Duren, is this one of those things, man? This is what I was saying. Like, I don't want to trade him. I'm entertaining this way too much, but like the logistics of this, I think, are interesting. I don't know. I don't think it means nothing that Jalen Duren and Jaden Ivey haven't been extended yet, despite the fact that they have been eligible for a while now. And I do know that Trajan Langdon, the general manager or president of ops, whichever he is, the shot caller for the Pistons, has been on record recently. I think maybe it was on the Zach Lowe podcast, where he was like, hey, man, it takes 2 to tango. if like, yeah, we want to re-sign these guys, but they have to want to re-sign here, and their agents have to. And he wasn't veiled in like, oh, Jalen Duren and Jaden Ivey, maybe they want to. No, they're not leaving. They don't want to go anywhere. It's not really about that. It's just sort of GM speak, and really all that it comes down to is a figure. And so I don't know. I just think one of the reasons you haven't done that is because you might include one of them in a trade. And then does the incentive become for Philadelphia? Well, we can sign and trade for Jalen Duren. And so, I don't know, using bird rights, he gets a 4-year deal, maybe a 5-year deal. Can he even get a 5-year deal? Gets a 4-year contract, and we trade for him. I don't know. I just think it makes... Now we got him locked up long-term. I don't know what Maxi's deal is looking like right now. They would shed a ton of money from Joel Embiid. I mean, obviously... it sort of gets baked back into your books because, but it's not going to be $70 million a year that Jalen Duren is going to be making the same way that is with Joel Embiid. You know what I mean? So, and then if you're, I don't know, do you do something with Paul George? By the way, they might not have to do any of this. I'm like, Paul George hasn't played at all this year, and Joel Embiid was playing like 20 minutes a game. The game that they played against Washington the other night, I think he played like 23 minutes. And so maybe they're both awesome. Maybe they both end up being awesome and everything's completely fine and the Sixers get to live in harmony. It's just a really interesting wrinkle to start the year that it's like, obviously they don't, it just slows everything down. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I just think that the Sixers are more fun when like these two rocket guards are piloting the damn plane. Because when you just feed it like entry pass style to Joel Embiid, they're not throwing him fucking entry passes, bro. But you know what I mean? Like a little dribble handoff from the elbow. And it's just so, it's not that he's not good. It's not that, like we've said it. I've sung his damn praises on this show, man. When Joel Embiid is at the peak of his powers and there is as little wrong with him as there can possibly be, that man is a force to be reckoned with, and I don't want to do the hyperbole thing where I'm like, something you may have never seen before in your life, because the truth is we've seen a lot of good basketball players. But man, is he good. Man, is he special. Man, have there been points in his career where I honestly believe he was the best player in the world. And I think it's easy to forget that for people, myself included, despite the fact... But I have no idea what it looks like if he ends up getting traded. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was your what is this guy talking about take of the week. Let's do some emails. copinghoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically. Email available in the description wherever it is that you listen to this program. We haven't been doing a lot of football lately. You guys want to do a football email? Well, hold on. We got an email from Lev here. This is not from Lev. This is from Akiva. Grading a fantasy trade from Lev's older brother, Akiva. Hey, Nick, what do you think? So he got Derek White, Jokic, and Steph Curry for KD, Embiid, Shea, and Devin Booker. And then you said that you also got Amen Thompson. Derek White, Jokic, and Steph for KD, Embiid, SGA, and Book. I think you got hoed, bro. What? I don't know, like, KD, are you just... okay, fantasy-wise, yeah, he scores a lot. Embiid, he's just, I don't know, stat sheet stuffer. He kind of does a little bit of everything. You gave up Shea and Devin Booker. I don't know. I guess maybe you're playing the long game here and just banking on, like, KD and Embiid and Book like all getting hurt and missing a bunch of time, and so you get durable guys like Derek White and Jokic and Steph, like medium Steph. What's Steph's games looking like these last couple of years? I don't know. He's playing at least, like, when's the last time Steph didn't play 50 games? Well, recently. Wasn't it like the COVID year? And they ended up with like the second pick in the draft? Yeah, it was probably then. Well, 50 games though? No, he had one more recently than that, I think. No, he didn't. No, it was just that. Last year was 70, 74, 56, 64, 63. And then the one we were just talking about, 5, 69, 51, 79, 79. So he's only not played 50 games twice in his career. Wow, I was talking about, at the beginning of this show, I was talking about Steph's first 120 games and like, well, yeah, but he was hurt and blah, 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 blah. I mean, not in his first 120 games. In his first 2 seasons, he played 154. He played 80 and 74. And then it was his 3rd year that he had all the ankle injuries, and he only played 26. That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, I guess from that sense then, dude, I guess maybe this was a good trade because you just got 3 really durable guys. So I get, and by the way, that we only did that because he sent it in like while we're taping the show. I'm not doing that again. I don't want this to become a thing where I grade fantasy trades, but I don't know. I guess maybe that's a good one. This is what I wanted to do. I said we hadn't been doing football recently, American football. And so let's do that. I actually haven't even read this whole email. I just saw that it came from Cooper. Cooper is an Eagles fan, sends in great emails. They're always very long-winded. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean structurally how his emails work. I usually just kind of read them, but I comment on the fly. Because otherwise, if I just wait until the end, I'm going to forget a bunch of stuff. So I trusted him with this email, and I have not read it beforehand, but I know it's about football. Subject line, long-standing Chiefs hate mail writer has had a slight change of heart. Cooper, welcome back to the show. Hey, Nick, first email in a while, and my first Chief-related email where I'm not just completely dogging on them. I am an Eagles fan, and discourse surrounding the Eagles has reached a point of international ignorance at this stage. I'm sure you saw the outrage about that non-fumble call on the tush push against the Giants. Parenthetically, he said, which I fully admit was bullshit, close parentheses. This, of course, has resulted in Eagles hater propaganda thinly veiled as caring about the integrity of the game. I think most criticisms of the tush push are a load of shit, but the shittiest loads among those criticisms is, quote, it's too hard to officiate, unquote. Is it poorly officiated? Yes. Is it too hard to officiate? No. You know what the issue is? The refs take the play off because it's more or less a QB sneak where there's 1 solid second of action where the most that can be gained is 2 yards. It is a QB sneak. The QB falls forward with a push in this instance, gets a yard or 2, and it is... So, can I break the email for 2 seconds? Are you going to talk about the fucking Chiefs in here, bro? Because it sounds like you're making this about you. I'm sure this is going to tie back together. I'm just as commentary halfway through. Are we halfway through? I don't know where we are in the email. Just as commentary, a minute or 2 into this, I'm waiting for you to, let's talk about the Chiefs, though. Or is this a tush push email? Okay, let's get there. I believe you're going to land the plane. I know you will, but let's get there, bro, okay? The issue on that Brian Burns fumble play was actually not even a tush push issue at all. It was a, quote, refs called forward progress dead a split second before a fumble, unquote, problem. This is a thing that happens like 10 times a year on runs that end in a guy pushing for extra yards. People say they false start every time. Call it then. I don't fucking know what else to tell you. It's nobody's problem except the refs. This play has been a hot button issue for a solid year now, and the refs clearly didn't make it a point to brighten up on it. Okay, let's stop the email really quick, and let's unpack what you just said at the end there. I am convinced that the NFL is very acutely aware of how the tush push is being officiated this year, and they're just letting the most absurd and blatant shit slide, so that way, when they hold their meetings next offseason, and there is a motion to ban the tush push from the NFL, this time around, because they tried to do this over the summer, and then I think they pulled it at the last minute. I don't even remember if they ended up voting on it, because they were like, it's not gonna, because like if you like submit a resolution and it gets rejected like too many times, then you can't keep submitting. And then it's like, I think you can only do it like twice. And then if it gets rejected like 2 years in a row, then you cannot suggest that anymore. Somebody else has to do it. It's something like that. So I think they didn't, I don't remember how the tush push thing, but I think, I really do think that this is all being done on purpose. And then they'll just, they have more ammunition for the league meetings in the off season. And they can say, look at this instance, and this instance, and this instance, and this instance, and then it gets killed. And thank fucking God for that when it happens. Because you said something earlier in this email. You said the refs take the play off because it's more or less a QB sneak where there's 1 solid second of action where the most that can be gained is 2 yards. Yeah, it's a fucking terrible play. It's annoying. It's boring. It's maybe another one. Oh, well, maybe people should just defend it. You can't. There's not a defense for it. Good for the Eagles for figuring this out. Good for Jalen Hurts for squatting 600 pounds. It's really, really cool. But I don't even want to... I'm bummed that you opened this back up. I'm so fucking tired of talking Tush push. Let's get back to it. I'm going to skip because you're still going off about it. All right? I found it. Here's where we start talking about the Chiefs. The main point I was leading to is I think I've developed a very small level of this. And then the email's basically over after this, by the way. So this entire fucking email was about the Eagles. Let's do it. The main point I was leading to is I think I've developed a very small level of sympathy for Chiefs fans over the last week. It sort of does suck to be a championship team that does nothing but win all the time, and all anyone can do is bitch and moan about how you should have been called for a delay a game in the second quarter or some horse shit. But just to get a quick dig in at the Chiefs, because I do still hate them and I can't help myself, virtual spot measurement makes its debut at complete random, and who does it benefit? Fascinating stuff, man. No joke at all here. Did it benefit the Chiefs? I have no idea what you're talking about. Is this the thing that happened? Oh, did that happen did they play the Monday night game? I think they played the Monday night game. Did something funny happen on Monday night? It must be that. Did they even play the Monday? I don't care. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't see this. I didn't hear about this. I think they did that to try and make it seem less biased on the basis of, look at the unbiased ChatGPT football bot brought to you by FanDuel said so, and how could we rig that? And that's the rest of the email. You must have spent 30 goddamn minutes typing up all that stuff about the Eagles just for you at the end to be like, yep, and everybody hates us because we're winners. And heavy be the crown who is wearing it on its head. And we are awesome. And I love rooting for a team that's awesome, and everybody hates us. Yeah. Very cool, Cooper. Very cool. I got my beef with the Chiefs and with just sort of society. I'm opening very softly opening a societal beef. I did not get a chance to comment on this. Never mind. I didn't get a chance to say anything about this because in like the week that I took off after coming home from Michigan, this happened, and then time moves on, and I just didn't really talk about this. Bro, I'm going to get my shit off about Brian Branch really quick. So at this point, like 3 weeks ago when the Lions played Kansas City, and at the end of the game, I don't know, Brian Branch like took Juju Schuster like by the back of his ear and whipped him down on the ground and punched him in his dumb fucking face, and everybody got all mad, and we're like, oh my God, like there's no place in the game for this fucking barbarity. And I'm like, right, the 60-minute football game that we wrapped up, as soon as the clock hit zero, no longer can we just start. Right, okay, I get it. Got to play it between the whistles, like Patrick Mahomes said. You're a fucking cop. How about that? You're a literal police officer. It's the feds. I don't know. What do we always say on this show? Everybody wants to start the revolution until it's time to start the revolution. Everybody wants to be a big dog until it's time to start motherfucking barking. You know what I mean? For the last 3 years, it's fuck Kansas City. For the last 3 years, it's God, I wish somebody would kill Patrick Mahomes. I wish somebody would kill Travis Kelce, right? The two most overexposed guys in the sport. On the team that everybody fucking hates. And on the biggest stage in the sport, at the Super Bowl, everybody prayed that they got killed. And not only did they get killed against the Eagles, they were murdered. They were murdered. And the world collectively celebrated. Why? Why? Because evil was dead. Evil was dead on that day in February in 2025. When the Chiefs did not three-peat, they lost the Super Bowl. It was done between the lines. Police officer. Hello, officer. Can I see your badge? Fuck you. Brian Branch, let's shit get a little bit too real. And everybody clutching their pearls. The fuck? 6 years ago, 5 years ago, Juju Smith-Schuster was doing TikTok dances on the 50-yard line before every game. And then catching 2 passes on 7 targets for 6 yards. And what did everybody say about him? Somebody needs to punch this guy in his damn head. And then what happens when somebody does? Ah! Human resources! Hello, police officer! Oh, the reaction was so bad. It was so dumb. It was, and it bothered me because then there was this whole thing about, I guess the NFL they did like a Brian Branch's evil campaign. I didn't see, there's a bunch of stuff that happened on social media about this. I was so damn fired up about this. It's like when the Charlie. I don't want to make the Brian Branch thing seem like the Charlie Kirk thing because it's not. You know what? Maybe I will. Maybe I will, as a matter of fact, because it's the exact same thing. As a matter of fact, Brian Branch getting suspended for a game for trying to kill Juju Smith-Schuster. It is the exact same thing, now that I mention it, as when Charlie Kirk was killed. Because what did everybody say about that guy? What did everybody say? 2 minutes before he was killed. They said, fuck that guy. You're a bigot. We hate you. They called him a Nazi, which he wasn't, but, sure, whatever. Words don't matter. Fucking call him it. Whatever. And then he died, and everybody's like, oh, but think about his wife. Right. Let's think about his wife. Think about his family. Think about all these. Okay. Everybody wanted to kill the Chiefs. Everybody wants them off TV. Everybody wants to shit on Taylor Swift. Until Brian Branch is like, I hear you, America. I hear you. What if I killed Juju Smith-Schuster? My name's Brian Branch. Welcome to Jackass. This is literally killing Juju Smith-Schuster at the end of a football game, which he didn't even do, by the way. He really didn't. Juju Smith had a bloody nose. Oh, my God. Call the fucking police. I guess that's all that I have on that. What else do I have in the NFL? Coaches getting fired left and right. Well, not in the NFL. Just sort of in football in general. Yeah, I seen this thing. Brian Kelly he finally got let go by LSU. A guy that should have never been the coach to begin with. Should have never stepped foot in Baton Rouge to begin with. Absolutely not. And it's not uncommon that you see these coaches, in college specifically, like really embrace and even in times emulate the culture, the surrounding culture of the campus. You think about Marcus Freeman converting to Catholicism after joining Notre Dame. It's the first, example that comes to mind. I'm sure there are plenty of others. Maybe no other famous than when Brian Kelly kind of just showed up after a week of being the head coach. And he's like, this is my Louisiana feels like family. Feels like family down here. What was that, Brian Kelly? What was that accent that just went through there? Should have never been the coach. Crazy business. Crazy, nasty, sick, disgusting business that he's the coach. I mean, the Penn State job is open, and the Florida job is open, and the LSU job is open, and I think the Oklahoma State job is open, and I don't know. People think Ryan Day might go somewhere. He might go to the NFL. He might do something. I saw a rumor that Lane Kiffin might go to LSU. I'm gonna be pretty upset if that happens. I don't know where I want him to go. I'd rather him take the LSU job than him take the Florida job. I think that Florida job to me is just a knucklehead's game. It's a knucklehead business, and I just don't think you're gonna. I don't know. It's impossible that they don't get the best recruits, and it's impossible to think that they don't have the. It's just funny, man. You see so many of these fucking schools talk about how there's just not enough money for NIL. There's just not enough money for some of these kids, for the 75th guy on the bench. But or even the best player on the fucking team, by the way. But when it comes to a $65 million buyout, a tens, if not dozens of millions of dollars, to fire a coach at these levels, it's crazy how much money there is in this, man. It's crazy. I don't know. One of you guys sent in an email about this. Maybe I should read it. Yeah, why don't we do that? copinghoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically, email available in the description, wherever it is that you listen to this program. I don't remember. I think it's this one. It's from Zachary. Zachary, I believe, welcome back to the show. What's up, brother? Subject line, ding dong, the Wicked Witch is dead. Hey, Nick, I cannot fucking stand Brian Kelly. I hated him at Notre Dame, and I hate him even more now as the coach of my beloved LSU Tigers. Go Tigers. You didn't say that. I included that. Go Tigers. As if Les Miles wasn't a hard enough coach to root for growing up, it's been damn near impossible for me to emotionally invest in Tiger football since Kelly took over. For all of Ed Orgeron's faults, of which there were many, he was somebody who seemed to have so much love and respect for the program and its players, and was so likable and easy to invest in before the Title IX scandal came to light. Side note, of course it was wrong for him to sleep with that student, but that pic of him in bed with the blonde chick is an all-timer. I'm supposed to be mad that my coach gets pussy. Maybe, but it was a good laugh. Brian Kelly, not only... I'm not reading what you said here. You said something mean about Brian Kelly. It's true. I'm just not going to read that out loud. But Brian Kelly sucks at his job, but never felt like he embodied the culture of not only sucks at his job, but never really felt like he embodied the culture of LSU football. He was every bit of the asshole that Les Miles could be. I'd argue much worse, but with none of the pedigree to back it up. He wasted the potential of Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thompson offense, with a defense that couldn't stop a tortoise. But an obvious case of IBS when it came to shitting himself in big games. Don't even get me started on our opening season losses. How bad does a coach have to be to ruin a good team? You see it more at the college level, but do you think that there are any teams in the NFL or even in the NBA that would immediately benefit from a coaching change? Thank you for including your email at the end of this at the end of your email, bro. Thanks for the email, dude. How bad does a coach have to be to ruin a good team? I don't think that has to do anything with like the X's and O's coaching. I just think that usually comes down to like people management and like ego management. Like what makes a lot of NBA coaches successful, of course, is their brain for their mind for the actual game. Of course it is. So I would be curious to ask somebody who's like more directly involved, like a player or a coach or, an executive, somebody. Like, what do you think the pie chart split up is with like X's and O's and like people skills and just people skills, ego managing, babysitting, basically. Like how much of it, is it 10%? Is it 25%? I think Phil Jackson had so much success in his career as a coach because it wasn't just about like, I don't know, inventing and executing the triangle offense. It was also about like managing Jordan and Scottie and Dennis Rodman, and later on Shaq and Kobe and all of these head cases, right? All these prima donnas, and his ability to manage them was second to none. Unless you want to say like Pat Riley or something like that, right? Maybe you could say it was Pat Riley. I don't know. Do I think there are any teams in the NFL or in the NBA that would immediately benefit from a coaching change? Teams that would immediately benefit from a coaching change. In the NBA, the first team that came to mind is Milwaukee, but not necessarily because I can think of anybody off the top of my head that's better, that's available right now. Unless, did Budenholzer get an assistant job somewhere or something? I don't know what's going on with him. I just wish that they would bring him back. Just wish they would. I don't know. I just miss him. It's just crazy. I don't know. Maybe like a month ago, I texted, it was like media day. So yeah, maybe like a month ago at this point. And I had texted Jacob, a.k.a. Rusty Buckets. I was like, what the fuck? I completely forgot that Doc Rivers was still the coach of the Bucks. So again, I got nothing to back that up. Just, sort of blanketed like, yeah, but it's Doc Rivers and he's the coach of them. I don't know. In the NFL, I'm trying to think of like a team that's actually good or like sort of like in the middle. Like, does Pete Carroll count for the Raiders? No, it's the first year and like the Geno thing is weird. And like, I don't know. Let's give that another. Maybe they'll be fine. I don't know. No, they're not going to be fine. They're going to fucking stink forever. What am I talking about? Minnesota, nah, KOC's fine there. There's nobody that's jumping out to me. Who's the coach in Houston for the Texans? Is it still D'Amico Ryans? No, they can keep. I blame CJ Stroud more than anything. I think, I don't know. Zach Taylor. I mean, you gotta fire Zach Taylor. It's probably him. How many times do you get the Burrow pass? Like the Burrow pass being like, well, he got hurt and he missed X amount of games, and so it completely derailed the momentum of our. Yeah, I don't know. Is it Zach Taylor's fault that they haven't invested at all on the offensive line? Yeah, it's partially. I would imagine it's at least partially his fault. I don't know if it is. Is it his fault that their defense is kind of, well, I don't know. You like to think that these coaches are working in conjunction with their immediate executive or whatever. I'd tell you that makes it, well, whatever. I don't know. That's a good question. I got nothing else for you, though. A little bit more Pistons, maybe, to tail end of the show. Maybe we do a little bit more Pistons. I don't think what I talked about earlier was really talking about the Pistons. What have they done this week? I think they're 1-1 this week. Yeah, since our last episode, they got, the Cavs detonated on the Pistons, killed them at home. That wasn't even close. Obviously the Pistons are down some bodies. That game wasn't even close. Ivy was playing, if he was playing in that game, if Jaden Ivey was playing in that game, if the aforementioned Joel Embiid trade happened, maybe they got Lauri Markkanen, maybe the Devin Booker trade happened. and he was also on that team playing. Nah, probably still wouldn't have. Probably still wouldn't have won. Cavs, they didn't have Max Strus, and then they don't have Garland. And so, like, okay, like, yeah, but they still have Jared Allen, and they still have the Defensive Player of the Year, Evan Mobley, and they still have Donovan Mitchell, who... Donovan Mitchell has kind of turned into, like, a... You know, we talk about, like, perennial All-Stars or perennial All-NBA guys, or... Well, he's one of those. But, you know, MVP guys. It's not even, like... It's not that Donovan Mitchell is a perennial MVP candidate, but he's more like a perennial MVP conversationalist. He's kind of like Baker Mayfield, honestly. There's some connective tissue, I think, between Baker Mayfield and Donovan Mitchell in the sense that they are two dudes who, without question, are... how do I phrase this? Because Donovan Mitchell, no matter what, is like a top 15 player in the NBA, at worst. Baker Mayfield, obviously, he's a top 15 quarterback in the NFL. I mean, this year he's probably top 5. He's had the weeks that he's been bad, like the Monday night game against Detroit when he just like could not hit any receiver at all. Like when he fucking stinks, he can really stink. When Donovan Mitchell really, I mean, he's had stinkers, but you know they play more games and blah blah blah. But they fucking go off, and the connective tissue that I'm referring to here is like they're not MVP candidates, they're MVP conversationalists. Where at some point throughout the season we're gonna have the conversation about them winning MVP. Knowing in the back of our heads that we're going to move on to somebody else and it's not going to be them. But, you know, Donovan Mitchell, they win 60 games last year and he scores 100 points a game. And I don't know, man, that guy's a killer. And so this is a very long-winded way of just sort of explaining why the Pistons got killed. It's a team that they're supposed to lose to. That's a team that they're supposed to lose to, you know. Even in the best-case scenario, where, you know, the Pistons, they get Ivy back and they do what I want them to do and they go get another guy. Like, I don't think, depending on who the guy is at least, I don't think that puts them over Cleveland. I don't think that all that it does is it propels them into the next category of, you got a chance. You got a chance and you can fight alongside the big dogs, but we got to wait to see if you're a big dog. You know what I mean? They got killed by Cleveland and then they just played a game the other night. Orlando. Yeah, they played the Magic, got to see, you talk about takes that people are having early on in the season where I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm not quite there with, it's not that aggressive about how I feel about this, but I am kind of like raising an eyebrow at it. Just on the Magic. Oh boy, people are selling their Paolo Banchero stock like fucking, like it's Black Friday, like it's Black Monday, Cyber Monday. Like the economy's crashing. There's the sell Paolo Banchero saying he's inefficient. They're making fun of the people who said that he plays like LeBron James. I always thought that was fucking crazy, to be honest with you. I understand conceptually what people were saying. You just can't say that about a guy. You just can't say it and then people's brains not get absolutely melted by it. I don't know. In the game against Detroit, there was a sequence where he and Tobias Harris kind of were like jawing at each other and some stuff got said back and forth. And it was like, oh, okay, you guys are like really mad at each other. This is like, oh, this is real. Okay, I think you guys are actually mad right now. This is pretty funny. This is entertaining. Yeah, it wasn't really a good game. It was a pretty good game, actually. Final score would indicate that Detroit just avalanched Orlando. I suppose they did in the second half. It was a game, I believe Karis LeVert was back. He was playing again. Cade had a black eye. Watching Cade run around and on like 3 straight possessions, we just keep doing this thing. And as soon as the Pistons settle into a game, rather, this is the way to say it. How you know the Pistons have settled into a game is as soon as they 3 consecutive trips down the court run an action that involves Cade throwing a lob to Jalen Duren, right? They'll set like 6 screens, and that just results in Jalen Duren getting a lob at the basket. And watching this iteration of Black Eye Cade just fucking lighting Orlando's defense up, which, by the way, I said that out loud, and if you say it too fast, if you say Black Eye Cade, like his, like he got punched in the face, it would be funny if somebody's nickname for him was just Black Eye Cade. Be like if somebody called me, no, that's not funny, actually, because that already exists. Well, but it exists in Detroit, by the way, because of White Boy Rick. You guys know about White Boy Rick, the guy who, I don't know, when he got caught, I don't know if Ricos had been invented yet, but he probably got, I don't know, racketeering and like, he's an arms dealer, basically. He's like a small-time arms dealer. He's like a kid from, I don't know where in Michigan he was from. He wasn't even from Michigan. I know the shit that he did, I'm pretty sure was in I might not even be right about this, to be honest. I saw the movie years ago. I mean, when it came out years ago. I only ever saw it the one time. Pretty sure Jonathan Majors is in that movie, too. I think he has a small role in that movie. I think McConaughey, isn't he the dad in that movie, too? White Boy Rick. Call him Black Eye Cade. No, I don't like that. I don't like this joke at all. This was supposed to be a nice segment about the... I mean, this is a nice segment. I'm just trying to think of a fun nickname for Cade. I'm just saying I don't think calling him Black Guy Cade is a good nickname. We can just keep calling him like the Motorcade, or we can just call him by his name, Cade Parker Cunningham. Call him a lot of things. I don't think I need to call him Black Eye Cade. You know, I was hoping that it was going to be like an avocado game thing from Andre Drummond, you know. You think about Game 6 Clay, untucked Kyrie, Hoodie Mello, you know, all these iterations of players, Avocado, Andre Drummond. And I was really hoping that Black Eye Cade was going to be a thing. Unfortunately, 'twas not meant to be. But I'm going to keep saying it. You're going to hear me say it 100 times this year. I'm just warning you right now. I really, really believe that this team is good. I really believe that they're good. And I think their ability to get after it on the boards is something that if they have success this season, if this is real and they catch a real wave at some point and by the grace of God, they win a playoff series this year, it will be on the back of their ability to rebound the ball. And then also their ability to convert at the free throw line. It's been something that for so many years, like, okay, we finally got the guy who can, you know, command an offense and can I was going to say point guard an offense, but it's basketball. So like very literally point guard an offense, right? Pilot the offense. We got that guy. It just so happens that is also the guy who can get a shot off on anybody in the last 2 minutes of a game, right? So, okay, so those guys are kind of the same thing. He also sort of doubles as the closer, right? I don't know. I just think, I don't want to say like the Pistons just need to go trade for a guy who can make his free throws. No, because that's not really a thing that you just like go and trade for unless it's a guy that also just like generates a bunch of contact and, you know, gets it. Joel Embiid, by the way. I don't know. I just think like every time I try to characterize the guy that I'm envisioning that Detroit needs to go after, I think I just focus on too many specific things that don't, but this is what you got to do, man. If you're serious about this, I am so worried that we're going to be told, oh, you know, we like what we have and, you know, we don't want to ruin anything and we just want to keep building on the future. Fuck me. All of them, all of these teams in Detroit, all of them are going to do this. Where they're like, no, we've actually just drafted really well and built a really strong foundation and we don't want to blow it up. Why? Not even a little bit? Not even a little bit for some like really cool shit? Like Max Crosby? Or, I don't know, Myles Garrett, people are talking about him getting traded to Philadelphia. I'm going to throw up if that happens. I don't know. The Wings went and got DeBrincat. That was cool. The Tigers are going to trade away Skubal. Maybe we get like Roman Anthony. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there. And the Pistons are just going to twiddle their thumbs and be like, yeah, we're cool winning 48 games, which is cool, by the way. Winning 48 games is cool. That's super cool. And I would be a big fan if they did that this year. At that point, let's just get it to 50. You know what I mean? But if we get there, we'll get there. And I got to tell you, I'm starting to like, I've been really toying with this in my head for a couple of weeks now. I'm debating on becoming a guy who just fucking loves the NBA Cup. Where my whole personality is like, this is the time of year. I like a guy who gets up more for the NBA Cup, the in-season tournament that the league does between like, you know, beginning of November and into the middle of December. I care more about that than I do the All-Star game, than I do the NBA Finals, than I do free agency, than I do anything else. I don't know what that entails. I don't know. Like the only time I really make YouTube videos is like, when is the NBA Cup? And I make these profoundly in-depth videos, like just talking about these matchups and like the path to victory for all these teams. Like I'm like fucking Steve Kornacki on election night. And I'm like, this is how the Philadelphia 76ers could win their group and advance to Las Vegas to win the NBA Cup. And then as soon as the NBA Cup ends every single year, I'm like, this sport fucking sucks. And I hope that the federal government tears them apart and takes them to the cleaners, Adam Silver specifically. Because I do like it, man. I'm passionate about the history of the NBA Cup. This is the third one. I'll give you some fun facts if you guys want. I'll give you some fun facts just so you know I care about this. And I'm not being funny. This isn't a bit. I really think this is a fun thing that the league does. And I think everybody has had increasingly more fun with it as the years have gone on. Again, this is only the third time that we've done it, which is your first fun fact. Your second fun fact is that the first time that this was played, the Lakers won. And your third and final fun fact is the last time that the in-season tournament was played, the Milwaukee Bucks, actually they won. They won in Las Vegas. So this year, we'll have to wait for a fourth fun fact so I can tell you who's going to win. But it does start. I can tell you when it starts, too. The day that this episode releases, which will be October 31st, the NBA Cup starts. So there's some games that are going to be on Prime. The aforementioned from earlier in the show, Philadelphia 76ers, Boston Celtics. I'm almost positive that game is on Prime. I think the Pistons play on Peacock, too, by the way. I don't remember who they play, but I swear Dallas, I think they might play. Whoa, do we get Dallas? That'd be fun. I think that's on Peacock. I might be wrong about that. Check out some NBA Cup games, bro. It's fun. The league makes a lot of money from it. And in turn, or just like watch some TikToks about it. Maybe the NBA makes more money that way. Maybe they make more money from AdSense and running mid-rolls on YouTube and like the TikTok creator fund. Maybe they make more money from that than they do from the actual TV deal. I've always been curious, I guess, about it. Like when an NFL game wraps up, soccer's the same way. Like if a Champions League game wraps up, it's the same way, right? And within, a day, no doubt, but depending on the game, like it's not that long until an extended highlight video of these major leagues, like a video has 1 million views. And there are a myriad of like factors that go into how much money that actually generates. It's going to differ from every single, like it's just going to be different. But I don't even know how to put out a number. Like, are these leagues generating $10 million a year from social media? Like, that seems like a high number, but when you just think about the sheer engagement and like, I don't know. I don't know. NBA Cup is about to start, folks. Lock in for that. What a fun season it's been. Okay, folks. Spotify. What's a good NBA Cup question for you guys? I will say this about the NBA Cup. Spotify. I don't care that much about the courts. I kind of wish they just didn't do it. I understand, like I get conceptually why they do it. You want to make the games like feel a little bit different from the regular season. I get it. But they're very disorienting and maybe just a little too jarring. I don't like them. They're like cool in video games, but I don't. And even then, I don't really even want. I don't like them in video games, to be honest with you. So I don't. What's the question there, Spotify? Do you like the courts that they do in the NBA Cup? That's a bad question, and I'm not asking you that question because that wouldn't be worth your time to answer that question. How many years, Spotify, until the NBA Cup is like embraced and acknowledged as like a tradition? Do you think we're gonna get there? I'm just telling you, man. I just think the last 2 years, the way that it's gone, I think it's been more fun than I think people were anticipating that it would be. And it really helps when the players buy into it. And clearly they've bought into it and they play really hard in those games, especially the closer you get to Vegas. And once you're actually there, players play really hard because they're playing for that chunk of change that you win for the guy at the end of the bench, right? The guys at the end of the bench who probably aren't going to get a second contract in the NBA. Well, that extra $1.5 million, however much it is, that they get to pocket, it's not nothing. It's not nothing. So they're doing it for them. I think that's really cool. However, the players are incentivized. That's all that matters. So what would my answer be? By the end of the decade, I think. By the end of the decade, I think that there will be, establishing tradition takes a long time. Well, by the end of the decade, 5 years from now, we'll have been doing it for almost a decade. And I would say, yeah, it takes about 10 years for it to sort of be culturally absorbed. So I think we'll get there. And I don't even know if it's going to take that long. I think just keep your eyes and ears open for what people are saying about the NBA Cup this year. I think they're going to love it. I think you guys are going to love this NBA Cup. Just wait till you see it. Apple Podcasts, what's up? What's up? If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, nice little comment for the algorithm. Make sure to keep primary control in check. And I will catch you guys in the next one.
Beautiful.